MetroNews Talkline with Hoppy Kercheval is brought to you by Encova Insurance, encircling you with coverage to protect what you care about most. Visit Encova.com to learn more.
Last December, President Biden's proposed Build Back Better plan. A $2 trillion plan collapsed. Big reason was Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia said, no, that is too much. It's going to be inflationary, and it collapsed. Later on, after that, there were discussions that resumed between Manchin and Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. Could there be a scaled-back version of this plan, one that included a tax increase on corporations and wealthy Americans, one that had climate legislation in there, one that had the ability of Medicare to negotiate drug prices, one that had subsidies for individuals to help them pay for health insurance through Obamacare. And it looked like that Manchin and Schumer were making some progress on this, and maybe we're going to get something done before the August recess. Then last night, this story emerged. I'll read from the Washington Post. Senator Joe Manchin told Democratic leaders Thursday he would not support an economic package that contains new spending on climate change or new tax increases targeting wealthy individuals and corporations, marking a massive setback for party lawmakers who had hoped to advance a central element of their agenda before the midterm elections this fall. This and other takes clearly came from Schumer and the Schumer side of this. What's the other side? U.S. Senator Joe Manchin joins us on Talkline this morning. Senator, good morning. How are you?
Hey, Hoppy. You've outlined it pretty well. The bottom line, what you failed to say, and what that report and what that Washington Post failed to say, was I said, Chuck, until we see the July inflation figures, until we see the July Federal Reserve rates, interest rates, then let's wait until that comes out so we know that we're going down a path that won't be inflammatory to add more to inflation. Inflation is absolutely killing many, many people. They can't buy gasoline. They have a hard time buying groceries. Everything they buy and consume for their daily lives is a hardship to them. And can't we wait to make sure that we do nothing to add to that? And I can't make that decision on taxes of any type and also on the energy and climate, because it takes the taxes to pay for the investment in the clean technology that I'm in favor of. But I'm not going to do something and overreach that causes more problems.
So I want to get into the specifics here, but this is being portrayed by that you blew up the talks, but you did not blow up these talks.
Hey, as far as I'm concerned, we've had good, absolute conversations. We've had good negotiations. We've been talking our staffs have been working diligently for the last 2 to 3 months, looking at a way. Hoppy, first of all, there's no human being that put themselves through this if they weren't sincere about trying to make things better for our country. And I know people have a hard time believing that because everything is politics. My main goal is what's good for my country. I'm not worried about what's good for the Democrat or Republican Party. They're going to do just fine. The bottom line is American people are getting short-sighted because of the political timetables and the political gesturing going on.
So what went wrong? So what went wrong? I mean, you were talking clearly. Was it a deadline? Was it a deadline issue? What specifically went wrong?
First of all, the Build Back Better way back when was a complete social realignment. Everything in the world you could throw at it, and I was very clear when the president and I talked. I said, Mr. President, this piece of legislation is going to change our country from when John Kennedy said, ask not what your country can do for you, what you can do for your country. That piece of legislation will change us to how much more can my country do for me? And we are at $30.5 trillion of debt and climbing, and we have to be serious about this. But inflation is wreaking havoc on everybody's lives. I don't care what social rung you're on. So that's why that one killed. There's no such thing as Build Back Better again. This is a financial security and energy security. This is what this is about. And also, so I said, Chuck, if you're on a political deadline and it has to be done in July, the one thing you can get done is basically do the bill, run the piece of legislation on reducing drug prices, letting Medicare negotiate. That saves about $288 billion over 10 years. Take $40 billion of that and extend the Affordable Care Act, the discounts that people are getting, so their premiums won't go up. And also take the other $240 billion and put it to debt reduction. You're serious about inflation, you're reducing debt, you're serious about people paying higher prices for their drugs, and we're doing it by letting Medicare negotiate, and also staving off the increases that would come if the incentives that we given or the reductions we gave for the ACA are not extended for 2 more years. That's what you can do in this July.
And what did he say?
But
what did he say?
he says, are you telling me you won't do the other right now? I said, Chuck, it's wrong. It's not prudent to do the other right now. I can't tell you in good faith because I can tell you one thing. I called your staff, and they all knew exactly where I stood when we saw 9.1%. That was an alarming figure to me, higher than anything since from 40-plus years. So I said, oh, my goodness, let's wait now. I said, guys, this is a whole new page. So they knew exactly the concern I had. And what I'm doing now, everything that we've been talking about for the last 2 months, I'm trying to get all the input I can by professionals that anything we've talked about in taxes does not affect the economy of the United States of America or to the people of the United States of America. I want people to pay their fair share. I think corporations should pay their fair share. But I've got to be careful that corporations aren't basically stymied to where they won't invest, they won't hire, they start laying off. I want to make sure none of that can happen. So I'm asking every expert that has knowledge for that. And I said, Chuck, can we just wait until the inflation figures come out in July, until basically the Fed rate, the reserve, are they going to raise interest? How much more and how much damaging is that going to be? And then make a decision what we can do and how much we can do. He took that as no, I guess, and came out with this big thing last night. And I don't know why they did that. I guess they try to put pressure on me, but they've been doing that for over a year now. It doesn't make any sense at all. And as far as I'm concerned, I want climate. I want an energy policy. Here's the problem they have. I want an energy policy basically, and the only way I understand, if you're going to get the price of gasoline down and the world is demanding more fossil everywhere in the world, is that we need to produce more. They might have, some people have an outlook that the only way you're going to do this is by eliminating. Stop producing fossil. No more oil. No more coal. No more gas. That's crazy. The whole world's in flux right now. So the only thing the United States can do is if we want to decarbonize, then we want to produce more fossil, cleaner than anyone in the world, and replace the dirty fossil that's going into the atmosphere now.
Well, let me
and also, one more thing. Also, what you can do is invest in the cleaner technologies that we know that'll work. We know hydrogen's going to work. We know we need storage for battery and battery storage that takes care of wind and solar. We know that. New transmission. We know all these things. Geothermal, small nuclear reactors. I'm all for that.
All right, let me lay out what I think that you are saying as to what happened, and then you give me a clarification. Is that you all are talking, your staffs are talking.
Sure.
And I assume because you're continuing to talk, you're making some progress on all these issues that we've talked about. And then Senator Schumer, according to what you're saying, Senator Schumer says we need to act by this weekend on something. We need to get something finalized by this weekend.
Before the end of July.
Before the end of July, and you're saying I don't want to act that quickly because we got the new inflation numbers, see what the Fed's going to do. We don't have to do this until the end of the fiscal year, federal fiscal year, end of September, so we have more time. So let's wait and see what the inflation number is for the next month and for what the Fed does. Is that a correct summary of what you say happened?
You're on the right track. Here's the thing. Inflation was 8.8% the month before, correct? We were told that it was going to go down.
I thought it was 9.1, but anyway, whatever. It's high.
No, it was at 8.8 before. Okay. Now it went to 9.1, so it went up.
Yeah.
Now they're saying that's not accurate. They might be right. I hope they're right. I hope it's not accurate. I hope basically it goes down to 8, 7, 5, 7, whatever, the gasoline, everything starts becoming more affordable. I'm hoping for all of that. I haven't seen that. Now, anything I said, shouldn't you err on the side of caution when basically the economy of the United States of America and everybody that's out there working, struggling, hustling, trying to make it? We all want a cleaner environment. Absolutely.
Well, you wanted to wait, but you're not going to be. You have an August recess coming up. You're not going to be in session in August.
The work will be done. We can come back the 1st of September and pass this piece of legislation if it's a good piece of legislation. Now, let me tell you the politics that are involved.
All right.
And I will fault Mitch McConnell for doing and what he's done. He said he was going to hold up the CHIPS bill. The thing that we have fallen so far behind is basically
And that's the microchip bill to help companies in this country
Microchip
produce the
bill.
microchips that wouldn't have to rely on China. Go ahead. And Mitch McConnell says,
Relying
I'm not
on
going to
China,
deal with
relying
that.
on-
Right, okay.
Okay, so he says basically we're not going to do that bill, which we already passed it in the Senate, bipartisan, but if it came back from the House for adjustments, he would hold that hostage if we try to do anything in reconciliation. And I'm thinking to myself, you mean if we have a good piece of legislation that gives us a solid energy path for 10 years that we can produce, get our gas prices down and have some reliance and confidence in the energy market that we're producing, pipelines are taking the energy where we need it, helping our allies around the world, and also investing in a cleaner technology for the future of energy that we need in our country, and do that without harming the economy, that Mitch McConnell is going to try to take the Republican Party down the path and scuttle that. I said, that'll be shame on him. So that's wrong. They're afraid of now, if we wait till September, that he'll use a continuing resolution, hold that hostage. And the continuing resolution means that we have to keep our government open. And I said, you're telling me that if we have a good piece of legislation and we've run all of the scenarios and we know it's not going to be inflationary, and we vote on that bill September, in the first week of September, that he's going to hold the continuing resolution hostage and shut down the government, and the Republicans take ownership of that? I don't think so. That's the difference we have. They're playing a political calendar, a political agenda, and I do not subscribe to that at all.
Let's go to Senator
what helps the country.
Senator Joe Manchin's with us. Where were you all, and you don't have to get into all the details, but just philosophically, where were you? Clearly, there are many Democrats, including Senator Schumer, who want to do more than you want to do on climate. Now, let's talk about on climate. And you want more production. You don't want to put a heavy hand on fossil fuels. You want decarbonization. Those kinds of things. You want permitting reforms. You want those. You don't want to see carbon fuel starved. So were you all close at all on climate legislation, which would seem to me like the biggest holdup between you and some other Democrats? Were you close at all on the energy front?
I've got to be honest with you. We were moving in a very, very productive, very good, I think, position. It's been a long time in coming because the hard thing is this administration and a lot of my colleagues on the left side of the Democratic Party have been very clear. Eliminate, eliminate, eliminate. Quit using any of the fossil. Don't put one investment. Don't put another inch of pipe in the ground. Don't carry any of it. Just starve it and kill it with 1,000 cuts. I says, I'm sorry. If that's where you are and you're not willing to move from that, there's no further discussions needed. We don't need to talk. This was 2 or 3 months ago. And credit to them, they said, no, we want to talk. I said, fine. I said, in 10 years, you're not going to replace the horsepower of fossil fuels with renewables. You might, 20 years or so, we have to go in that position, but I'm not going to be part of eliminating what this country needs to run the economic engine and the lives of human beings throughout America, and also the support we have to give our allies around the world. I'm not going to do that betting on the come. That's what Europe did. That European model has not worked well for Europe. They're in a really, really challenging position right now, and I'm very hopeful that we can help them before the winter sets in. But anyway, that's where we went, Hoppy, and we talked about that. And I said, fine, I want a robust aggression in fossil for the 10-year program and the cleanest carbon capture, doing it and producing it. We produce oil coming out of the Gulf cleaner than any.
Were you close? Were you close?
Yeah, I thought we were. I thought we were moving truly in the right direction. But then I said, you have to pay for that. I knew no Republican because they wanted to protect the tax code the way it is, even if we see loopholes. We've seen loopholes, Hoppy. We've seen loopholes for the very wealthy that don't need it.
Is that where the tax increase came into play?
Well, here's where the tax. Basically, we said, okay, a 15% minimum. They wanted to do 15%, starting with what we call the OEC, the oversees all of our international.
Yeah, everybody would pay at least a minimum. The corporations pay.
Right. Well, you know 50%. What? The rest of the countries aren't following suit and are having a heck of a time. And I said, we're not going to go down that path overseas right now because the rest of the countries won't follow. And we'll put all of our international companies in jeopardy, which harm the American economy. Can't do that. So we took that off the table. I'm telling you things that we've been working on for months. I said, but 15% minimum in America makes sense. But there's a lot of companies that don't pay quite 15%. Some pay none, but some should pay something. But with that, I want to make sure that we're not harming our economy with some of those people, that they're going to say, well, if you change this tax code and put that minimum, even though that we have earned the discounts because of our investments, the money we're putting back, we're hiring, we're building, I want to make sure that we haven't disrupted that. That's all.
Senator,
we're looking at everything, Hoppy.
Okay,
so
looking at everything.
I'm not throwing caution to the wind. I want to make sure, and this July figures will tell us if we're on track to do what we need to do, or we have to adjust it some. That's all.
So bottom line, Senator Joe Manchin's with us. So bottom line, what happens now? Do you continue talks? Is there a chance to do something, obviously not by the end of July, before the end of the fiscal year? Where do you want to go from here, and where is it possible to go from here?
I've been sincere as I can be. I want to help our country. I think we need an energy policy that works for our country. I think we need an investment into the new technologies that will be totally carbon-free. And we can do that also with those investments, but we cannot expect those investments to produce the energy that we need in a 10-year cycle without relying on the transition of fossil that we need right now.
Who calls who?
Can't eliminate it.
Who calls who to restart?
Oh, I'm not stopping. You know what? This is rhetoric. I've been through this all my life politically, and I've never seen it at this level, high of level, that you would throw caution. Just throw it out we'll throw it out and then stick the dogs on them, thinking they're going to put all this pressure on me. I am where I have been. I would not put my staff through this. I would not put myself through this if I wasn't sincere about trying to find a pathway forward to do something that's good for our country. They cannot come to grips because I have a D by my name or someone has an R by their name. We should do whatever one side wants. That's not me. There's only one side as far as I'm concerned. That's the American side. And they're having a hard time understanding that from me.
We're going to leave it there. U.S. Senator Joe Manchin. Senator, it's good to speak with you. Certainly good, deep insights on what's going on here. We will stay in touch. Thank you very much.
Hoppy, you got more insight than most anyone's gotten right now, and I hope it's received in the most positive way for our country.
All right. Okay. Very good. Thank you, sir.
Okay, buddy. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.